Hey, what's good fam? I just got my hands on the new Roland P-6 and today I'm going to make my first beat on it, sampling all the drums and everything from vinyl. First impressions, I really like the feel of it. It feels like it's made out of pretty high quality stuff, and I found that the layout and the workflow has inspired me to approach beat making in different ways than that of the SP404 Mark II or MPC or whatever. But it does definitely have a bunch in common with the SP404s, especially the MFX section. And not to mention they brought back the lo-fi button. There's a lot to like about this little fella, but if you're familiar with my work, it'll come as no surprise that the number one thing I fell in love with is the different sample rates it offers when recording. I really like how they sound. They're much smoother and less destructive than, say, the SP202 and SP303, which do some of the same sample rates. I'll be exploring them a little in this session, but I'll be dropping a more comprehensive sample rate comparison video in the next few days. Second thing I really appreciate is the pitch. Chromatically, this thing can shift the sample up and down 2 full octaves. Another thing that stands out to me is that it has independent reverb and delay sends. That means when playing the beat, you can send your samples to, say, the reverb channel and control how much reverb is added to it, and it has nothing to do with whatever other MFX you might be using. It's just its own thing. I'll show you more about this later on in the video. I don't want to jibber jabber too much more before getting into the beat making. Just quickly though, many thanks and much love to all of you good looking humans who have checked out my new beat tape, the NIGHTCAP, which I dropped last week. It's very much appreciated, and I'll drop some links to it down in the description and in the comment section. Okay, let's kick things off by sampling a drum break. First, I hit the sampling button, select a pad to record to, set it to record in mono, and at the lowest sample rate of 11 kHz. And to get an even more lo-fi drum sound, I'm going to record with the turntable playing at 45 RPM, then pitch it back down afterwards. Now, a quick record change because I've got a clap I want to sample, this time in stereo at 44 kHz sample rate, and the turntable switched back to 33 RPM. Alright, so let's hear the drum break again. Gonna pitch that down to -6. I like that sound a lot. It reminds me a lot of them old Stretch and Bobbito tapes. And before I chop this break, I'm going to copy it to pads 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pad 1 is going to be my hi-hat, so I'm going to chop it out by moving the start and end positions. Next, a kick. And another kick. And another kick, which will probably be my ghost kick. And the snare. Gate mode off. And here's that clap already chopped. Okay, here's the main sample I want to be working with.
Giving
Out of all that, here's the 12 chops I think I want to use, pitch shifted down. Now I'm going to put all these into a mute group, which is done in the voice menu. And over in bank E is that fourth chunk I sampled, which I think will be cool reversed. Next sample is this cymbal hit with a nice minor chord. And now cleaned up and pitched down to the same key as my main sample. Righto, some guitar. Chopped and pitched. Also that wind up when I first started the turntable. And I'll turn on the lo-fi button for all of these. Some piano. Chopped and pitched. Those last two things on pads 2 and 3 I think could be cool reversed. Lastly, some horns. I've pitched these down slightly. I'll hit the lo-fi button and also throw some isolator on it. And resample that. There's a lot there, but I think this is the main stab I'm going to be using. I don't know, we'll see. So, that's all the samples chopped and ready to go. I figured the first thing I'll do is make the basic drum pattern. Normally, I like to try to finger drum a loose unquantized groove in the sequencer, and I really like the feel of these pads, but it's not very often I get to use something with a step sequencer with such an open layout like this. So for this joint, I'm going to manually program the drum pattern and tweak the micro timing to try to give it a more loose feel. I'm going to start by making a 1-bar loop. This step sequencer can go up to 64 steps, which is 4 bars. I've currently got it set to 16 steps, which is 1 bar. So here's my drums. And this is the pattern I'm going to be entering into the step sequencer. Starting with this kick on the first beat of the bar, and the snare on the second and fourth beats of the bar. Now for the fun part. By holding down a step and tapping the granular pad, It cycles through all the parameters of that step you can change, like what note it is, velocity, probability, note length, and micro timing, which is what I want to change now on this hi-hat step. So I just made it play slightly later, not too much, just something subtle. Now I'll do the same with the other hi-hat steps. Let's hear that. Next, I'm going to make that snare play a bit earlier. Now to move the kicks around a little bit, starting with the ghost kick. I think I like how that groove is sitting. What I need to do now is lower the velocity of those two ghost kicks so they're not so in your face. With this 1-bar pattern now how I want it, I'm going to duplicate it so it becomes a 4-bar pattern, which is done in the copy menu. I duplicate once, which makes it 2 bars, then again, which doubles that up to make it 4 bars. Now when I see what the last step is, it's set to 64. And obviously, I'm just looking at bar 1 of the pattern at the moment on the sequencer. To switch to the other bars, you hold down Shift while hitting E or F to navigate back and forth. And on the screen, it tells you which bar of the 4-bar pattern you're currently working on. First, I want to work on bar 2, adding in a couple of ghost kicks and adjusting their micro timing and velocity. And now switch over to bar 4 and again add some ghost kicks. And a snare while I'm at it. That cymbal over on bank E pad 5. I'm going to add that to the start of bars 1 and 3. And now, with quantize off, I'm going to record the claps. For the main sample, here's my basic idea. And I'm going to record that in with quantize on. So that's the foundation of my beat laid down. Next up, I'm going to add in all the other layers to fill it out. And I'll be getting into some stuff like panning and using the delay and reverb sends, starting with the guitar chops. First thing I want to do is go into the mixer menu and scroll to the send delay screen, where I can specify how much of the pad signal is sent to the delay channel. To change the delay settings, you tap Shift plus delay/reverb and select, for example, delay time. Here's some of the options. My plan is to put pad 1 sample at the start of bar 1, pad 2 at the start of bar 3, and pad 3 about halfway through bar 4. Next up, over on bank D, are the horn chops. Pads 1 and 2 are just copies of each other because I'm planning to go into the mixer menu and pan them both apart. Next, like with the guitar chops, I'm going to turn up the delay send amount. And also add a little reverb. Now to record that in with quantize off. All those horn samples are playing at full velocity. I'm going to go in and lower some of them, starting with the pad 3 sample in bar 2. Here's a little shortcut tip. While holding down the step you want to change the velocity of, if you tap any pad, it'll cycle through between a strong, middle, or weak velocity setting for that step, instead of having to scroll through like I was doing before. And the last one, I want even softer, so I'll adjust that one manually. Now to go mess around with the other ones. Okay, over on bank C, it's time to lay down the piano stuff. These two reversed chops on pads 2 and 3, I want to add at the end of bar 4. And this now leaves me with that one piano note to have some fun with. First, I'm going to turn on auto pan set to random. Turn up the reverb send amount. And turn on the keyboard button so I can play a melody with it. And this P-6 sounds really, really good doing this sort of thing. With all those layers in now, it's pretty dense. I don't think it needs anything else. I just briefly want to touch on the effects and buses. So up here, you have pretty much the same style effects as you do on the SP404 or MK2, with the 3 control knobs doing all the same stuff, and pretty much the same collection of the classic MFX. I often don't want the performance effects on my drums. This way I can mess up everything else, all the samples, but leave the drums solid. To exclude them from the effects, I'm going to hold down MFX and hit the drum pads to deselect them. This is now sending my drums to bus A. Think of it like this. All the samples are being sent to the effects section by default. And you can choose to instead send them to bus A or bus B to bypass the effects on its way to the output. You can also adjust the volume of each bus separately, so it can be a really useful way to adjust the volume on a whole group of pads at once. So with all that said, thanks heaps for watching this video. I really dig the Roland P-6. There's so much more it can do, like the granular sampler stuff and the step sampling. It's a little monster. I'm really looking forward to using this more and more and getting to know more of its functionality. Anyway, without any further ado, here's my beat. Take it easy, fam. Laters.